This is Jessica. She suffers from BWV-AKT boom. Boyfriend went vegan and knocked the bottom out of me. A painful condition that occurs when boyfriends go vegan and can suddenly bring it like a tantric porn star. For Jessica, it's too late.
I immediately coughed on the
Yeah,
play. Good job,
okay.
Austin. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 28. We're here. We're talking about cool shit today. We're here. We're queer. You can't say that, Greg.
Yeah, Greg's not allowed to say that part.
I can say it.
Greg can't say it.
I'm gayer than you, Austin.
Maybe.
I'm just a lot more comfortable about it.
We are 22 seconds in. We cannot start.
We need to go. We need to get back on track.
And Mark. Okay.
Okay. So today we're going to be doing... Actually, I don't even remember what we're doing. So I'm going to let Austin tell us what we're doing, because...
Yeah, Austin.
Hold on.
Hey, Austin, can you maybe shut all those white women up in the other room?
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Austin, we had some great
okay.
conversation, and then nobody heard it because you paused the recording.
I told you I paused it.
I know you paused it.
Fuck off.
All right, well, I bet it
what
wasn't even that good. I bet it wasn't even that good of a conversation.
We were talking about
anything's better than when you're around.
Damn.
That's what Austin's really afraid of. That's why he paused it.
You know what? I'm gonna pause and go leave again. I'm a little sad now.
No, we love you. You add so much. You really.
Anyways, so let's get into this episode.
Podcast.
So I have received messages, varieties of messages in all forms on the Discord, on my Tumblr, asking me to cover the PETA coconut milk monkey labor controversy.
Oh, yeah.
So here we are. I don't really like to, tail PETA around reacting to their shock campaigns that they like to do, but I figure this would be worth reiterating because I guess I have more nuanced thoughts on it that I'd like to share, and we covered monkey coconut labor before, right, on the pod. Don't remember which episode, but we did, and I feel like we didn't really go super that in-depth into it. But I'd like to sort of respond to the sort of recent backlash that I've been seeing. So essentially what is going on here is there's a bunch of articles coming out. PETA's really pushing publicity for this idea that HelloFresh, the, grocery company, is using monkey labor to harvest their coconut milk, and that they're bad and need to be boycotted because of it.
Look, all I can say to that is the children yearn for the mines.
The children do not yearn for the mines. So it sort of took this interesting sort of route online where PETA basically, publishes a tweet saying something like, HelloFresh sources its coconut milk from Thailand, and sometimes people in Thailand use monkey labor to harvest their coconuts. And that turned to, through the sort of outrage online cycle, that turned to HelloFresh is, using monkey slavery. They got monkeys chained up in a basement in like fucking California somewhere, just harvesting coconuts 24/7.
Just like me.
No, but it's interesting because this is an issue that we're already aware of. Like, we know that monkey labor exists in Thailand, but it's being brought up again against HelloFresh specifically, out of all the companies that use, that source coconut milk from Thailand. Which HelloFresh, for what it's worth, this isn't like a corporation defending episode, but for what it's worth, their statement was they verify, quote unquote, that their sources aren't using monkey labor in Thailand. So take that for what you will. PETA doesn't really have a solid argument either, just that they get their coconuts from Thailand, and that must necessarily mean that everyone in Thailand is abusing monkeys or something.
Like you do.
I don't know. I feel like there's something to be said. We talked about this before, right? Where animal rights activists, their usage of the word slavery in reference to monkeys, that's not correct, right?
Is it problematic?
I don't know if you could call it problematic if you want. It's just not like true, I guess. Here's my thing. Their usage of the phrase slavery is sort of ridiculous and absent of any material analysis, if you will. Let's go
Are you doing
hard in on
Marxism?
this now. Yeah, we're doing some Marxism. Monkeys are not domesticated animals, and they aren't meant to be used for animal labor, like say mules are. So while this does constitute animal abuse, I think, right, because they're
Do you think? Or
non. Yeah, no, I mean they're non-domesticated animals. They're not really supposed to be doing this. There's a difference between animals who are bred to do a certain job
are
and
they getting a little
animals.
paycheck though?
They're not getting paid. They're just getting the requirements to live. So, I mean, there's a difference between, say, you have a golden retriever, right? It would be their job is to retrieve things. Am I correct in this assumption?
Right in the name. Right in the name.
Right in the
It's
name.
right
It's
there,
right
yeah,
there,
it's right
right in the
there.
name. There's certain animals where their jobs are literally bred into them, where I would say it's also animal abuse to like never once in your life play fetch with a golden retriever. You know what I mean? Because it's like that's sort of their drive. Like literally in their genes, their biology, their drive is to like fetch things, retrieve
enough.
them.
Fair enough.
So some animals have jobs bred into them, and say what you want, but it's done. And some animals, it's better off to give them jobs, I think. But monkeys aren't really one of those animals. Their job is to forage to survive, not to do like menial tasks over and over. They can do them. It's just not like
Not
I
super
guess
fun.
it's not like they don't like it. They're much more susceptible to horrible things, which I mean I see in research every day. I mean, we're not mistreating the monkeys in any way, but they're
But
also not meant to be doing this, so they're just super susceptible to.
yeah, we're not mistreating the monkeys, but
Yeah, well, but they're just super susceptible to mental illnesses because this isn't what they're meant to be doing,
yeah, this is because they're monkeys and you're sticking shit in their heads.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta tell us what happened with that.
What happened with what?
Monkey surgery.
You did monkey surgery today.
Oh yeah, there's always monkey surgeries going on. This one
Tell us
actually
what
got
you did today.
delayed.
Oh, no monkey surgery today?
Yeah.
No monkey
So
surgery.
nothing interesting to say about that besides it got delayed. But
Monkey got an extra day to live, huh?
I've been there for a couple monkey surgeries. There's a I don't know if this is interesting to talk about, but there's a limit to the surgeries that you can do on monkeys in research.
I'm sorry, are you guys cutting open these monkeys' heads more than once?
Yeah. Well, you put things in, you take them out, you put things in a different position, you take them out again. It's not nice, it's not pretty, but it's biomedical research. You want to use the monkeys you got until you don't
so
want to
they're
just
all used up, huh? So they're little husks
I
of
mean,
themselves.
you don't want to
What
just
the
like
do?
you don't want to do like a fucking monkey mill where you're just churning baby monkeys through this like one operation
'cause
and
that
you
would
send
be
them to
the
the
line.
wolves. I don't know. It's nothing about it is like particularly ethical, but there's just a question of whether or not it's necessary, which
you would argue it's necessary because it's your job to cut the monkey heads open.
I mean,
Vested interests.
No, okay.
You hate to see it.
Even if this wasn't,
is officially biased.
I'm gonna have to put in like a fucking conflict of interest statement at the bottom of every episode description.
Big disclaimer.
No, I mean, even if it wasn't my job, there's certain things that biomedical research can't accomplish without testing on an analogous species. Like the COVID vaccine, we got the COVID vaccine.
Did you test that on monkeys?
Of course we did. That's everything we test on monkeys goes to humans. Well, in a very vague sense. I've made this point before, but monkeys are just the blueprint because you can't really test on humans just out of nowhere whatever the hell you want. You gotta test it on an animal first, and there's an ethical fuzziness there, but what can you do? I guess.
Yeah, just a fuzziness.
I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say. Okay.
I don't give a fuck what you do with monkeys.
Yeah, fair enough.
As long as you
I
ain't
do
killing
think
them.
the main takeaway from this whole HelloFresh thing, in my mind, is that all the people who were talking about monkeys can speak, but they just don't do it, so they don't have to have jobs. Blow it out of the fucking water. Blow it out of the fucking water.
If they could
The
speak,
monkeys
they would
are
be
being employed.
They would be fucking unionized if they could speak. They could communicate and like gang up.
This is what today's episode is really about. How to unionize your workplace. We're gonna go to Thailand and we're gonna unionize some monkeys.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is a subject I kind of want to cover that maybe we can save for after this discussion, but unionizing zoos and like animal workplaces. It's a really interesting debate. It's sort of similar to, how hospitals go on strike, but they don't nearly have the same support system that hospitals do. We can talk about unionizing later, but I guess the question with monkey labor in Thailand is, to go back to the promised Marxist analysis, why is it that Thailand is producing so many coconuts for America?
We're doing an analysis right now.
We're doing an imperialism analysis. Because here's the thing. Coconuts aren't meant to be farmed and harvested. They're, in fact, very dangerous to farm. Your options are either climb up a goddamn coconut tree to pick the coconuts yourself, or your options are to use like a really long pole with a fucking knife at the end to cut down the coconuts. And I don't know if you know this about coconuts, but they're very hard, and when they fall from a very high place, it kills people. Not quite safe. Frequently, in fact.
Just like me.
I have a little anecdote about this, and I'm going to interrupt this because this is funny.
Okay, go ahead.
My dad told me back when he was a little kid growing up in South India that there was a string of robberies in his village. And one day, they find the thief up in a coconut tree, stealing their coconuts.
Interesting.
And the whole village gathers around the coconut tree and just like corners him up there.
Like a cat in a tree.
And they're just like screaming at him, and he's throwing coconuts down, trying to get the crowd to get away. And they start shaking the tree until he finally climbs down and they take him to the police.
This is community-oriented justice.
This is community justice, baby.
This is what they're talking about.
This is one of my favorite stories he's ever told me. It's so good.
It's a good one. It's honestly
that is a really good story. That's very funny. But yeah, no, coconut harvesting is deadly and dangerous, and the Western world tends to export all the grimy and ugly labor of exotic agriculture to economically vulnerable tropical countries,
Mm-hmm.
And we've sort of trapped them into like coconut servitude, if that makes sense. Like, for example, Indonesia and Malaysia, palm trees or palm oil, the plants that make palm oil, they are not native to that area at all. In fact, I believe it was the Dutch, when they initially colonized Malaysia and Indonesia, who introduced the plant and specifically made them start growing it there as their main export, and basically wouldn't accept anything else from them. But because they're in control, their options were either cut down swaths of jungle to grow palm oil or starve under.
And let me tell you something about those Yakubian apes, the Dutch.
The Yakubian apes. Go off, Greg.
They're just some of the sickest motherfuckers to ever exist. Like them and the Belgians. I don't know what happened to the swamp Germans as a people, but they did colonialism on a much more horrific level than I think people realize. Like, you have to take it like the English version of colonialism was the softest compared to how the French and the Belgians and the Dutch did colonies. Because the English, they wanted you to work. They wanted the manpower. The Dutch and the Belgians and the French, they were in there, the genocide. Like the worst kind of, the worst.
It was like
tier them, the worst.
Horrifically utilitarian too, because it's just like they completely crushed and removed all industry and production that wasn't like palm oil and tin factories, pretty much. And that's like the only thing they export to this day, because that's the only thing people will buy from them. Otherwise, they've got tourism or they're fucked. So, I guess my point here is we'll call anything slavery except actual wage slavery. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least PETA libs will. And that's my second point, sort of. The only reason this is even coming up again is I guarantee because the fucking like petite bourgeois libs of PETA are obsessed with their goddamn little grocery delivery services.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's the only, I guarantee this, they were just
That's
looking for something to get mad at, and they saw, oh, my HelloFresh delivery's here. What's this? Coconut milk? My vegan coconut milk came from Thailand. Let's start shit on Twitter.
Meanwhile, all of their husbands like to go there for other reasons.
Yeah.
Sure
and I gotta say, I feel like I've never seen like a working class individual in
I've
PETA's
never met
base.
the working class.
No.
I don't know who the working class
PETA's
is.
base is completely disconnected from the masses, to use a Maoist.
PETA's base is
I
your
guess.
average Elizabeth Warren voter.
Literally, it's all just like the most insane, guilty, bourgeois liberal that you can imagine. It's essentially a vanity project of the people who run our country trying to deal with the guilt of capitalism's horrors in an indirect and fundamentally useless way that allows them to confront the guilt but not the actual consequences of the economic havoc that they're wreaking. They get to feel better about capitalism existing while nothing fundamentally changes, and they still get to live the way they are.
And that's the American way.
And that's the American way, baby. But yeah, that's my thoughts on PETA. And also I have insane beef with them because they are so annoying with that goddamn chimp sanctuary I worked at. I don't know.
Or were they always there or something?
They
What was
bought
PETA doing?
billboards outside of the chimpanzee sanctuary and said that were like, this place is like a prison. Chimps should be in the wild. Like, what are you doing here? It was all like one guy funding this too. He lives in... I'm not going to say his name because that's probably
You
a
should
little...
say his name. Dox him. Fuck him.
Yeah, sure. Donnie Moss. He's a PETA guy. He's a PETA adjacent guy at the very least. He made like a documentary or something.
Oh
He
my
lives in like the heart of wealthy New York, and for some reason he singled out this one chimpanzee sanctuary in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, to just pour money into being like, this place fucking sucks. And it's
Oh, he looks like a fucking loser. I'm looking at his LinkedIn page right
yeah, like,
now.
and I don't know, because it's like their proposed solutions were like, instead of putting them in this bad sanctuary, leave them in the biomedical research facility they came from. And it's like, do you really think that's better? Like, are you insane? I don't know.
Let the chimps hang out in their little enclosure and get their enrichment every day.
It's not perfect, but goddamn, like, you want them to be in a concrete like box the rest of their lives? I don't know.
Oh my god!
Go on the
Every
little
single one of his fucking posts on LinkedIn is like, it's like a Karen post about being mad at
Yeah, it's
Oh,
That's
can you
like-
read one of these for us, Greg? Can you
He
read
doesn't-
one of these for
Oh,
us?
okay. Yeah, here's a good one. This is at the Humane Society of New York. He's commenting on their page. Because the
Is it about the
Humane
horse
Society,
carriages?
yeah. So the Humane Society of New York has, obviously, like all humane societies, this thing called standards to adopt a pet.
Mhm.
And so he's posting about dogs and cats not being adopted, even though there's people who want them because they don't meet the board's standards. And then he's just like, an aloof, inactive. Hold on, I gotta imitate what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
do what you think his voice sounds
It's a
like.
perfect storm. An aloof, inactive board of directors, an ED who describes cages as apartments, and a large adoption center that's been closed to adoptions for 2.5 years. See the video in the links.
And then the linked video is not a video because he's a dumb old person. It's just a picture. The picture is a PETA person sitting in a cage with a dog, acting like the cage is too small. Meanwhile, this woman is in the cage with the dog, and they have enough. Like, this woman could almost stand up.
Oh
This
God!
is the biggest dog cage I've ever seen.
Why'd they let the white woman in the cage with the dog? Get her out of there! Get her out of
Get her out of
there!
there!
Look how big this fucking crate is for this dog.
Yeah, let me see this. Let me see this.
Oh my,
that
yeah,
is
this is
that
a
is-
good crate.
That's like a good cage. What do you
That's
mean?
a big crate.
That
She
costs a lot
fits
of
in
fucking
there.
money.
What do you mean? She fits in there.
I don't know, but now I'm going through all of his things.
That dog can do his little like nightly circles.
He's got
it can,
crazy beef
Nightly
with the
circles.
Humane
He can
Society.
like stand up.
yeah.
He's got
Crazy
crazy beef with
with the
everybody. I'm looking
Humane
at as
Society.
I'm showing all activity on this page. Let's take a look here. This guy's a fucking loser.
When before I had the podcast and I was just desperate for things to do at the chimp sanctuary, I was like looking way too into this guy because I wanted to see if he had a vested financial interest perhaps in what he was doing, because he doesn't have a job. He does this all day, every day, and he still has the money to buy entire billboards. So I'm
God, I wish that
thinking,
was me.
what's going on here? It turns out he's literally just like a trust fund baby, and his parents live in like Miami, and they own like a really expensive floral boutique or some shit. I don't know. That might be too much for
No. He's got a connection to Bridgewater.
Wait, what? Are you serious?
Yeah, he's
What's
got a
going on
connection
here?
to Bridgewater, China. Bridgewater, China is giving him sort of an award in shaping their business about women in hedge funds, which, whatever.
Interesting.
Anyway, let's keep going. He's got another picture here, the woman in the cage, of the cage that is massive.
Excellent mainstream media coverage about your campaign to help the animals being warehoused by the Humane Society of New York.
But yeah, that's just my beef with PETA and PETA adjacent people like Donnie Moss is like, grow up and be a communist or something, for God's sake. Like, what are you
Honestly,
doing?
like for a guy like this, grow up in like.
Oh my God. Okay, well, yeah, sure. I guess you could say that. But,
Here he is. He's commenting on this picture here. He's excited about this. This is a positive, making a positive comment about the U.S. State Department and the U.S. International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs Bureau
What's up?
in
What's
Liberia. In
Oh.
Liberia, not helping chimps, but he's like, not a
Interesting.
chimp photo. Meeting with law enforcement in Liberia to join forces in increasing our fight against animal trafficking. I fucking hate PETA.
Wow,
Interesting connections we're seeing here.
All I gotta do is scroll. Here's one that says hashtag stop octopus farming with the most delicious looking calamari I've ever seen.
Yeah, and here's my last statement on the coconut farming business, okay? Because until PETA, like, look, I love monkeys. I love monkeys. You all know this. I recognize that exploited peoples across the world are more important than that, though. And until people can actually confront the roots of why the coconut farming industry is even a goddamn thing in Thailand, I kind of don't want to hear shit about the monkeys picking coconuts from trees. Because, yeah, it's fucked up.
Austin
But
is checking his privilege at the door.
I'm setting my white ass down and listening. I'm setting my primatologist ass down and letting them torture the monkeys. No, but I mean, it's not pleasant. It's not. But I mean, the alternative is people getting their heads caved in by goddamn falling coconuts. So what can you do? It's not even that widespread, to be honest. Like, chances are HelloFresh is telling the truth, and they're literally just getting their coconuts from one of the farms that's like killing people and not using monkeys. So
yeah.
Frankly, I mean, like, I'll give them one thing for their ingenuity. Monkeys, they sure can climb trees, and they sure can pick coconuts. They can do it.
I should work at PETA.
They don't even hire people. They just like conglomerate these wealthy like shit libs into a horrible pulsating mass.
How do I become some rich shit libs like protege?
Like a fucking feudal apprentice.
Yes.
You just watch them at the forge all day, but it's them like making posts
posting.
about yeah.
They're on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that is good for HelloFresh. And
Yeah,
our
we're done with
HelloFresh thing.
HelloFresh. I don't
We're done
want
with HelloFresh.
to. I don't want to fucking
And
hear about it. No, I'm kidding.
so I mean, our HelloFresh, our topic today came from our question bucket.
and
And
also
we've kind of
some
been
anonymous messages.
and we've been kind of ignoring our question bucket a little bit. So we're gonna dive into some questions y'all been asking
Let's
us.
do it.
So
Yeah,
thank you,
okay.
thanks, Poltergeist, for sending us this
And
little.
by the way, I'm
thing.
not mad at anyone who sent that to me. I'm mad at PETA.
Yeah.
Austin's mad at you directly.
No,
Austin
I'm
hates every single one of you for making him talk
not. No,
about
I love
this.
you all.
So let's jump into the question bucket. Minna asked us. So Minna saw the video of Sandra cleaning her enclosure, which I have been studying very
You've been
meticulously. I've been studying this video to learn her habits, so I can get in, and I can take her out. Because as we know, since like episode 3, I made a solemn vow to take out Sandra and be the first
get
person
Sandra.
to be convicted for murder for killing a non-human primate.
Yeah.
But Minna asks, after seeing the tweet of Sandra cleaning her enclosure, what an ape's favorite soap or bath bomb would be, and maybe a more pointed question that Austin can actually answer: do chimps like certain smells, or do they not really use that sense at all?
I'm just
Well.
going to start off by reiterating the answer I gave in there, which was they'd like things from Lush because they can eat them and not die.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I will say it's for medical reasons. The sanctuary I worked at did give them bubble baths, but they weren't allowed to use hypoallergenic, or I mean, they had to use unscented, like deodorant or cologne free, whatever the fuck you want to call it, perfume free, I guess.
Mhm.
Shit. So I don't know, but I feel like they would definitely like the smell of onions because chimps like gross
Oh.
shit, and onions just emanate that like savory, gross smell that drives them crazy.
Huh.
That's
So they
Do
should
you,
make
guys-
an
do
onion
you
bath
feed
bomb.
them onions?
Oh yeah, their piss smells absolutely rancid afterwards. But
Gnarly?
it's gnarly, dude. But it's but they love it. Like they fucking love raw onions so much, it's insane.
Well, I mean, I like onions.
Which leads into my theory that that one Australian
Greg is a
primate
chimp.
was actually
Greg
a
is an
chimp.
evolved chimp. Yeah.
As an Italian, I can confirm that is. the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah. All right, this one's interesting. Piss Pocket asks, if Travis was transgender, what name would she/they have picked? Like, assuming
Austin, why is
Tracy.
it you wanted to talk about this question?
Tracy.
because it was directly underneath. All right,
Tracy.
Tracy.
Tracy. Austin,
Yeah, I
Greg
guess
clearly
so.
is not hanging out with enough trans people.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's got to
Maybe-
be 3 letters.
It's gotta be 3 letters.
Eve.
Transgender people love to have
Eve?
3-letter
Ooh,
names.
Eve's a
Eve.
good one.
We're doing Eve.
Yeah. Or perhaps
I got to
Liv.
concur.
You know what else? I bet Travis would like Casey Anthony, right? Or maybe Jody
My
for
brother,
Jody
right?
Arias.
What?
No, he would definitely be a Jody. Yeah. So
I'm gonna put
that's
out a
that's
new
my
line of
thoughts on
merch. Jody taught me.
Jody.
that. You know, there's a Jody Arias fandom on Tumblr, and I'm not gonna linger on that for too long, but it is kind of funny.
I'm going to make you. What?
Yeah, like there's like people on Tumblr who they're a very weird subsect of
Jody heads.
women. Yeah, they're who are both like Catholic conservative and really, really into female serial killers.
Just like me.
Oh
There's
yeah.
some sort of like convergence
be that kind of
thought
person.
happening here. But yeah, let's see. How about another? Ooh, I like this one. Count Fistula asks, the potential return on investment in training an orangutan to roll and smoke a blunt.
Ooh.
I think this would be so cool because have you ever seen that video of the orangutan solving the little cube puzzle with its lips, with its little prehensile lips?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they
I
can.
haven't seen this video, but
Their
I can
lips act
imagine
as
it.
sort of fingers. Imagine. Have you ever? Also, have you ever seen that scene from Tom and Jerry where he like gets the cigarette wrapper in his mouth.
Yeah. Love that
And
fucking video.
Yeah,
It's a great
he just like
dance.
rolls it up with his lips and
Yeah,
shit.
it's an amazing.
That's what an
bit.
orangutan would do, but with weed.
Listen, if Sandra had a blunt rolled by the time I got to her, I wouldn't kill her.
You'd squash
I
the
couldn't
beef
do
right
it.
I
there.
forgot. I don't even remember why you want to kill Sandra anymore.
I want to kill Sandra because Sandra has been granted legal personhood. So if I killed Sandra, you would go to jail for murder.
For murder.
Theoretically.
You want to be the
I want to
first-
see if they would. I want to see if they're brave enough to convict me.
You wanna be the
I would.
first person
I want to
go
see
jail.
first of all the defense in court, and like,
Oh my god.
and it's like,
Case of the
Your Honor,
fucking
this is
century.
clearly not a human.
Yeah. Listen, I want to see if the prosecution has the balls to go after me for first degree murder. Because if they go after me for anything else, I will laugh them out of the fucking courtroom.
It's like, oh really? Interesting.
Oh,
That you
really?
would call this legal person an animal. Interesting psychology happening here.
I have a good question from Darby. Do
Darby.
it kind of goes. Actually, no. I think maybe because we're talking about we're talking about orangutans using their lips for. Or I'll get to you in a second, Darby. Sorry. I want to go back to Minna because we're talking about orangutans, using their lips to solve puzzles and stuff. Why don't zookeepers give monkeys video games as standard enrichment? You mentioned the chimp that scientists train to do memory games, and that at the sanctuary they let them watch movies, but I think they should let chimps have unrestricted access to Steam. What would be this is me editorializing. What would be the consequences of unrestricted access to Steam for various primates?
You know all the hentai games on the homepage of Steam where you go to the
I knew that was the first thing you were gonna fucking say.
That's my first answer to that question. But my honest answer is, the electronics in a controller or a keyboard or a mouse are too delicate and small for a chimp to handle. Unless you maybe gave them one of those like super rugged like GameCube controllers.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it. I think they would be more interested in smashing the controller than figuring out how to play a game.
How advanced do you think a game has to be before the controls become inaccessible to a primate? Like, do you think a primate could play Pong?
Could a primate play Tetris?
I bet if you made, those like super strong like Wii remote cases they make, I bet a chimp could play the Wii. It's a matter of if they would whip the fucking remote at the TV or another chimp's head or not is the thing that's the only problem. But they could play the Wii, I bet.
They would go crazy in Wii Sports.
If we could invent a sort of chimp Wii, perhaps.
We gotta patent this shit. We could be fucking billionaires. We could be billionaires by tomorrow.
And also, I talked about this before, but os, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I'm not good with pronouncing. The rhythm game, the anime
He's
rhythm
covering
game.
for playing it all the time.
I used to play it very frequently, actually,
Gay.
but did you say gay? Okay, well, they would be very good at that, as evidenced by their little, when they do the tapping memory game sequences on the screens. Yeah. But we've talked about that before, so
we have. All right, so now to Darby. We're still in the chimp fine motor skills section. Do chimpanzees have the fine motor skills required to shoot a gun? Could you teach them to shoot a gun?
Absolutely.
I think we answered this question actually, or maybe I answered it like personally over text, but I think a chimp would definitely figure out how to shoot a gun if you gave it to them and it was like loaded, but whether or not it would want to shoot it again would depend entirely on what happened when they figured out how to pull the trigger. Like if they got hurt or it just made like a really loud noise and scared them, they'd probably like not fuck with it. But if they like shot someone with it, and it worked, they would just we would have the first chimpanzee mass shooter on our hands, I think.
You think they would immediately try to shoot other things with it?
They would just see how many they could kill, I think.
We gotta get a legion of deaf chimps. Give them like pistols, like assault rifles,
like
everything.
Really like weak triggers, so you just like graze it and it just stuck in fully auto.
we can deploy these. We can
Deploying
put
the
them out on the
chimps
fucking
battalion.
front lines.
They
Absolutely.
make better Marines than the Marines.
You know what? That's
Got
true.
the same IQ.
They might have a higher one.
Yeah, honestly. All right, let's see. Let's do another Darby just because it's what I landed on.
Darby.
What primate can I pet? Like, are there any that are safe to pet, or like being pet more than others? Should you just not pet a monkey?
Gorilla.
Anything that's comfortable with your presence, and like, even then, that's a bit risky. But it would have to be like trained, restrained, or very, very comfortable with you.
Yeah.
But I will say, the smaller the monkey, the more like neurotic and insane they get. So I feel like a gorilla would be your best bet, just because they just think you were doing something weird. But if you tried to pet like a little macaque, for example, they would turn around and just bite the fuck out of you.
Well, you could
They
get a
hate you.
capuchin because, like, if they do try to bite you, you could just toss that motherfucker.
Well, yeah, but they could also start. Here's the thing. When I worked at the zoo, there was another guy named Austin there who tried to. He basically. There's this monkey that was really comfortable with some zookeepers and would pretend to be comfortable with others to get close to them, and then it would like immediately run to their head and start biting their neck and pulling their hair out,
Oh my
like
god.
all in the span of like 10 seconds before you could like rip it off of you, and it would just fuck people up so bad.
What the fuck?
So what happened to this other Austin?
I don't know. He didn't really mess around with the monkeys too much anymore, but I mean, it didn't really.
I'm a big
me
proponent
either.
of euthanizing the monkeys that misbehave.
I know that's just they're little.
We should start
mischievous
playing
sometimes.
God if we can breed them into friendlier, right?
We need.
That
I feel
seems
like
not
every
a good
time.
idea, and also maybe not possible.
I feel like every time I see somebody hanging out with a primate and being jealous with an orangutan.
Yeah, they seem like they operate on vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
vibes only. Good vibes only.
Could you
Walking
survive
to the
a
orangutan.
chimpanzee vibe check? Yes or no?
No.
Not
I
a
don't think
shit
anybody
one.
could. That's what Travis was really doing, and I feel like we're not giving him enough
Vibe
credit for
checking.
that. He was just
Yeah.
vibe checking Clara Nash, you know,
It's,
and she failed.
Wait, is that her name? That's not her name, right?
No,
It's
something else. Charlotte Nash.
Charlotte Ash.
Charlotte
yeah.
Nash. Sorry,
One
she has a
letter
weird
off.
fucking name.
Stupid white girl name.
Stop.
Charla. It's not a real name.
Why are you telling me to stop? What is she gonna do? Come fight me?
Maybe. I mean,
Way worse
I
than
feel like she
Travis.
would have, if anyone had legal ground to like come after us legally, for like our merchandise heavily featuring a chimpanzee that mauled someone, it would probably be the victim of that mauling. To be honest with you.
Oh yeah, we've left ourselves so vulnerable to her.
She's
shit.
old. She ain't got that much time.
Well, her family still. I think we should be very nice to Charlotte Ash.
Well, it's not my fault her parents gave her a stupid fucking name, okay?
Right?
Okay. Let's see. Count Fistula also sent a article from August 21st, which was very funny. California police responded to a pet capuchin monkey accidentally calling 911, which I don't know. That's just a funny scenario.
Does that happen?
I don't know. My experience with monkeys using technology is I don't know if I told this before, but I had a little Fitbit watch when I worked at the zoo, and when I would like let one of the capuchin monkeys groom my hand and like pick off the little specks of dirt or whatever they thought they saw,
Yeah.
he would turn my watch around and start like pressing buttons on it to see what it did. And at one point, he actually set an alarm for 10 a.m. every day. Somehow, I don't know how he managed to do it. I mean, obviously, it wasn't like intentional. He was just pressing shit, but very, very interesting.
Good for
But
him, though.
it's sort of like monkeys on a typewriter, but when they're on a phone with like autocorrect and shit, they end up calling the police. So
How many chimps would it take to type out the full works of Shakespeare, do you think?
I don't. I mean, realistically, it wouldn't happen because they would just smash like the device they were given. But
Yeah, but what if it did?
I don't know. That's a very old, like, thought experiment that you're bringing up that I don't really have a strong opinion on. Besides that, it wouldn't happen in real
Time to
life.
make one. What's your strong opinion?
I don't know.
Time to create an opinion on this thing that you don't care about.
Let's see. Um, who would win in a fight, Travis or Winston from Overwatch? Winston, because he's got a fucking electricity gun, obviously. And he's got the strength of a gorilla and the intelligence of a smart person. No,
Well,
honestly,
just a human.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like,
But Winston isn't just a smart human, you see. He's a genius by human standards. Which, by the way, I don't like Overwatch. I just really like Winston, and I think he should be liberated from the property by force if necessary.
do you think Winston's a top or a bottom?
Definitely a bottom. So moving on.
Okay. To get us out of this conversation as quick as possible,
Before I keep going.
I want to quickly touch on something that came up in the question bucket a few months ago, which was popular VTuber Pecora. She's very, very popular, like one of the biggest. Got a pet bush baby a little while back, and I'm going through like some of her videos now. This reveal. And thank you, Count Fistula, or is it Count Fistula who brought this up? Count Fistula and Ari who brought this up in the chat. Pecora like has this little stream where she reveals that she has this little bush baby named Jill. It's very not chill to do this, by the way. Do not bring wild animals into your home.
Yeah.
And Pecora posts this picture of her like feeding this little thing with like a syringe of milk, and this picture of her cat checking this little bush baby out.
It's gonna eat that thing.
Oh, no.
And I'll put the picture in the Discord so y'all can just see this, and I'll describe its image for everybody.
The cat has its tongue out and it's salivating, and
the cat is
no.
literally
It's sort of
hovering
floating
over the bush baby.
Yeah, sort of floating in the air, following the scent wafting from it.
The cat is really curious about it.
The cat, she says the cat is really curious about it. This cat definitely is thinking about chowing down on this little guy. And then she says, I don't think it tried to bite it or thinks of it as a rat. Girl, I got some news for you. Your cat is going to eat your bush baby. There's nothing you can do to stop this. It's going to happen.
I actually heard there was an update on this recently where she hadn't posted a video or photo of it in so long that people were accusing her of the animal having died, like the cat eating it maybe. And so she came out and said something along the lines of like, oh, if I don't post a picture every like week, then you guys are just going to say it's dead. But I think she still didn't post a picture, which is very funny. But I don't follow VTubers enough to know for sure.
She killed that fucking bush baby. That bush baby is gone.
I could have completely misheard that though. Again, because of I don't pay attention to VTubers. I try not to, in fact.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
I think it probably was eaten.
Had to have been, right?
Yeah.
I
can definitely see
gone.
Like if I was a cat, that's an exotic meal.
Yeah, I'm getting something shipped in. No,
yeah, it's like a nice. That is to her cat what Wagyu steak is to us, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. High fat content, great marbling. This cat isn't.
You're gonna set me off on Wagyu again. I've had it like. I had a country fried Wagyu once, which was a fucking meme meal. It was stupid, and it tasted just like a regular country fried steak. And don't ever buy it; it's just overpriced.
Yeah, it's incredibly stupid and fucked up that you would even waste a Wagyu like that.
I thought it would be funny, but anyways, it was very thin to our credit, and it wasn't that expensive. But I've had real Wagyu like twice in my life, and that was sort of back to back. I went to this Japanese barbecue place called, I think, Gyu Kaku in Chicago, It's one of those places where they got like the fire pit in the middle of the table and you grill your meats yourself. I got like a couple little strips of Wagyu, which was super expensive for that small of a portion, but goddamn, was that the best meat I've ever had in my life.
Mm.
Yeah, you never had better meat.
Never had better meat in my life. It's
No,
not
He's
gay
not
to
afraid to
say
say it.
that because it's the food that's better. I mean, never mind. Let's move on. Hold on.
In comparison to the other meats that Austin has taken, that Wagyu, that's pretty good. Greg, do you have any questions you've found that you want to talk about?
I have fucking nothing for that. I didn't even look at. I didn't know we were doing questions. That's how like little I knew that what we were doing today.
Aha.
Let me take a look here in the question bucket.
I think we actually ran through a lot of these.
Who the fuck added emojis to all the fucking channels?
That was
That was
me because
Austin.
everyone was having trouble finding the channels, and it improves visual clarity.
No,
alright?
it does improve visual clarity, but where the fuck is the question bucket?
It's
It's
the
in
one
pod
that has,
related. It's like the fourth section down.
We have too many.
for everyone
things.
who's not
We do.
subscribed to a Patreon, we're having like a crisis where we have a lot of channels to like sort of structure our discussions, but goddamn, is it hard to like navigate.
I do have a good question from Darby here. While
got one from
Greg
Count
is on the
Fistula.
hunt. Oh, you do? Okay, what's your question from
Okay,
Count
both of you
Fistula?
shoot.
Count Fistula found a paper the other day about a population of capuchins who throw rocks at each other when they want to fuck. Does this add new context to Austin's near-death chimpanzee rock experience?
Does this add new context? Austin.
Austin.
No, I'm gonna say chimps are a different kind of monkey than a capuchin, so no, it does not add context, but it is still very funny to think about.
I suppose I assumed that all these primates have their own little kind of mating rituals.
Yeah.
Is rock throwing? I mean, it doesn't seem to be super established knowledge,
big
but
one?
is that
Yeah.
is that a thing we know about capuchins?
I think it may honestly just be that one group or colony that they discovered. Like, it's just a
Okay.
weird social evolution that emerged in that group. But I can't be sure because I haven't looked into capuchin fucking that much, to be honest with you.
Could
Yeah.
you
I've
look into
spent-
capuchin fucking more?
I
for us?
will. I've been spending most of my time looking into the evolution of language and communication, actually. Partially because of our last episode, and partially because that's just sort of my research interests if I were to go to grad school. And I found an interesting thing that's not at all related, but there's actually a claim that great apes and monkeys don't understand pointing, but dogs do because they were bred to be domesticated by humans. And they actually found that pointing isn't even universal in humans, which was sort of the basis of the original claim. Or at least, well, it's actually, let me backpedal a bit. It is essentially a universal way of communicating by like indicating something with a movement of some kind. In some cultures, it is, all fingers pointing at something. In some cultures, it's using your lips to point at something. But index finger pointing is not a universal thing. So when they
You are
accounted
gay.
for different forms of
You are
pointing,
gay.
when they accounted for different forms of pointing, they found that
Austin hasn't caught a break in a year and a half.
it's so true. But they found that primates in captivity actually use pointing, but not in the wild. But it's
Oh.
not necessarily because they're picking it up from humans. It's just something about their like exposure to our sociality is making them develop certain habits, which ties into
Interesting.
epigenetics. I think, at least that's what the paper I read claimed. So we should get Nat in on an episode at one point because
We should.
apparently their specialty that they're doing in grad school is all about epigenetics. So that could be
I
a fun
couldn't tell
series.
you even what epigenetics is.
It's something about Hox genes. I don't know. Fruit flies. You get the idea.
Sure.
I'm just not
all
going to
right.
speak on things I'm not confident about. In the
Nat, like coming into the Discord and roasting us about
Not knowing
Austin's
shit
little
about
explanation about
yeah.
epigenetics. It was so good.
Just beating
I started
our ass.
crying in real life. I was sobbing into my pillow.
All right, let's go back into the Darby pit. A little Darby poll.
Darby pit. We love Darby.
We love Darby. If you could combine different primates to make a new superior primate for battle, maybe, which ones would you combine and what characteristics from them would you want your ultra primate to have? Or if breeding primates for battle is too fucked up, then build one to be friends with. I don't know.
I think we can do both. I think I
can do
want to do
both.
both.
I can do
Yeah.
both. I don't care. I have no morals. I have no qualms about this. I would want the brute strength of a chimp.
Mm-hmm.
The wisdom of a gorilla.
Sun Tzu shit, right?
Yeah, the ferocity of a macaque. No, the ferocity of a baboon.
Ooh, that's good.
Okay, and the horniness of a bonobo.
Okay.
Wow. These are good traits.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I feel like having an ample horniness.
Yeah, something about that drives you to be great, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's inspired wars since time immemorial.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Okay. I think I would go ferocity of a chimp.
Okay.
Like ferocity of a chimp and like the twitchiness of like a capuchin or a macaque, like a small little guy, right? Just like the hairpin trigger of a little guy who's ready to fucking kill anybody who comes near him because he doesn't know know where his next meal is coming from. He doesn't know if he's going to see the next day. Everything right now is a fight, right? That's what I want. I want that fucking that anxiety.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and I want the sheer just like I will rip you to shreds of a chimp.
The sheer internal terror of a small monkey.
Yeah. And I think I'm a take like the lifting power, just the sheer like strength of a gorilla. You know,
okay.
I want my peak primate murderer to be able to see you, dislike the way you look at it, and run up to you and chuck you as far as it can throw you.
Knock you
just
out of
like
the fucking park. Yeah.
Like this isn't a fight. Like it was over the second this guy laid his eyes on you, right? Because you're not getting a shot in on him.
No. There's no hitting back.
There's no hitting back. You know, and by the time you even think,
your ass.
He like activates Ultra Instinct on your ass. I don't know.
The time you even think to fight back, you are in a different state because this dude has thrown you clear out of the area.
Okay. I think I'm going to keep it simple and say I'm doing a gorilla-sized rhesus macaque because A, they're mean little fuckers, and B, you also have the chemical warfare aspect of it where, you know, you're going to give your opponent some sort of horrific disease that kills them. And also,
do you think they're mean because you guys are stabbing them in the head with needles all day? Or?
Okay, no.
Yeah.
Let me elaborate.
That comes from something.
My girlfriend was talking to someone, one of her coworkers who is from India. Like they grew up in India, and she was talking about my work. I don't know how this came up, and she was like, "Oh, what kind of monkeys do you work with?" And Kim was like, "Oh, he works with rhesus macaques." And her face like went pale, and she was like, "Oh my God, those things are fucking like evil. They're mean. They're horrible creatures. Like, what is he doing?" So. I think
Kim then tell her friend that you're sticking little needles in their head all day.
Yeah, that you're literally doing crimes on them.
The thing that we like to focus on is that they spend the majority of their lives either chilling out in their little enclosures or training for the recording, which the recording is very, very minuscule part of their lives. Surgery, even less so. Most of their time is spent just sitting in a chair, doing tasks on a computer for juice rewards. It's not really.
That concludes the third round of the Nuremberg trials. We're gonna drop you off of the plank in a minute.
Look, it's fine. Maybe I'll like spill tea or something. I mean, there's really no tea to spill exactly. But But I don't know. I mean, when I don't have this job, maybe I'll be meaner about it. But I don't know. Who knows? It's not like terrible.
I was killing them all.
Okay. Things could be so much worse.
The children
The Emory University, formerly known as Yerkes Center, but he was a eugenicist, so they renamed it to the Emory Primate Research
How many
Facility.
decades after he died did they finally decide to change the name?
Earlier this year.
When did he die? 1940.
It was a lot. The only pictures of him existing are in black and white and very grainy. So
Huh. Okay.
20th century. But yeah, so I was like looking at their Wikipedia page to see the kind of research they did, and they are really just doing fucking everything under the sun to these goddamn animals. Like, I thought like some of the stuff we did was a little like questionable, but they're doing like everything, and their main breakthroughs seem to be in like AIDS research, but like they do so much other stuff besides that. So it's like, what's going on that it's like not really producing results? I don't know.
The AIDS research is really just funding their torture of these little guys.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I guess time to make
the CIA design AIDS too.
That's what they mean by AIDS research, not curing AIDS, developing AIDS too.
Developing new kinds of AIDS.
Okay, time to make a primate who you want to be friends with.
Yeah, okay. I think I'll start out because I know for sure either a perpetually
lobotomized gorilla.
I was gonna say a perpetually baby gorilla, like fucking like infant. Just forever.
Like the little guy from Tarzan.
Yeah. Or a gorilla the size of a capuchin monkey. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that cute? Isn't that nice to imagine? He wouldn't even bite you or nothing.
Nice little thought to have. Okay, I mean, I feel like orangutan is the easy thing to reach for.
Yeah, I feel like an orangutan just by default would work.
I don't know if you're allowed to be friends with orangutans because you have a personal blood vendetta against one.
Yeah, I'm not allowed. I mean, the thing is, I wish Sandra all the best. Truly, I want Sandra to thrive and live a happy life. It's just that I need to call out the contradictions of our society, and Sandra is going to be the sacrifice.
Scientist first and foremost.
Okay, I think I want to hug my my little primate friend. You know, that's important to me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what would be the cuddliest primate. Who's the best for cuddles?
Probably a lemur.
A lemur, yeah.
I keep forgetting that
they're basically cats. Wait, you don't wait. What?
Don't they smell like piss though?
Not necessarily. They use scent marking, but they don't like have a particularly strong odor.
Well, we're gonna breed that out of the lemur.
Okay. Well,
they don't. Lemur with no scent marking.
They just have scent glands. That's mostly just for other lemurs. You don't really smell it. It's not like pee. They get the scents from their tail. I don't know if I've ever been over this, but whenever you see a lemur approach another lemur, or like two groups, they'll all just get their tail between their legs and start furiously stroking that shit like they're jerking off. It's honestly funny to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the cuddliness factor of a lemur. I mean, I want my guy to. I want to hang out on the couch, so I think I need like the size of a chimp.
You know what? I need to say something. Red ruff lemurs, they look sort of cat-like, and they loaf. This is very important. They loaf. They do the cat.
They put their little.
Where do I buy some? Fuck ethics. Where do I get some?
But here's the thing. They scream constantly and so loud that you can hear them from like miles away. Like they will just unprompted start fucking screaming. It's not pleasant.
Like a dog who can't stop barking. Just a little sniff.
No, I wouldn't do that. That seems unethical.
Now it's just a croak. Buddy, it's already unethical that I want one as a pet.
Yeah.
There's a dog on my apartment floor that every single time I walk into my hallway, that motherfucker just goes ape shit, and I hate that goddamn dog. I hate that dog so much.
He's got gaydar. He knows you're there.
Oh my god.
The bark is actually just the F slur in dog language.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah.
All right, is that everything? Have we gone through? I think a good chunk of our.
I don't think.
Yeah, no. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
Greg,
Greg,
what?
your friend. What's your friend?
What's your ideal
primate?
monkey friend engineered?
Abu.
Okay.
Abu's a great example.
Abu the monkey
Abu's-
with
Abu.
tits from my zoo or from Aladdin?
What?
What the
Yeah.
fuck did you just say, Austin?
Yeah, Abu the
Abu from Aladdin. What the fuck are you talking about?
What?
Wait, what do you
Tits
mean?
for my zoo?
I
What
thought I
is
caught-
Are
that?
you talking
I
about
thought
the
it-
little monkey with the huge knockers?
Yeah, I talk about this all the
I don't
time.
want that one. I don't want that weird lactating capuchin monkey.
I think I feel like I've forgotten. Oh, the actual Abu.
Yeah, there's
from
an
the
actual
zoo.
capuchin
They
monkey
they
with
fucked up
this
with their Dr. Frankenstein.
huge
experiments.
fucking knockers. No, it was at a zoo in North Carolina.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh my god.
Sorry, that's probably very bizarre for people who don't know that context.
Yeah, unhinged episode we're putting out here. Greg, do we have any voicemails to go through today, or
No, we had no more voicemails.
you had no more voicemails? And I think that's everything.
We can end or wrap up here, but I thought there was some we skipped previously that we could go over, but
I don't know if we skipped any.
we'll go through and like really scrounge those up for later for a more like less impromptu scenario. But yeah, I think this was certainly an episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. Our
Are we
Patreon
fucking
is-
done? Are we fucking ending it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
what
I've
else-
been
is
so
there anything else you
tired.
want to
I've
talk
been
about?
barely alive for this episode. I gotta thank our patrons.
We gotta
Yeah.
thank our patrons.
Oh yeah, I also
Patrons.
said I was going to talk about zoo unionization, but that's definitely better left
probably a whole
for
episode by
another
itself.
episode. Yeah, that we could talk about that for an hour and a half easy.
Also, everybody who's watching from home, my final message: tune in to the Patreon for a special episode of me and Cerise arguing about politics.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys
Is that
ask
going to be?
questions,
Is that
we're
going to be
answering.
a Big Soy Naturals episode or one of
I
our
don't know what the
episodes?
fuck it's going to be. It could be both.
Anyways,
Probably just both release it. But anyway,
Keep an eye
Yeah,
out.
maybe.
Thursday the 18th. So probably the night this
Thursday,
episode's
18th,
coming
that's
out.
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. That's why I'm saying it like that. The night this episode comes out, probably. Greg and Ceres. Battle of the Minds. We'll see who comes out
Yeah,
victorious.
we're gonna be going crazy.
Personally, I'm rooting for Ceres, but
Fuck you.
Yeah, they're gonna be doing real political debates.
We're gonna do
And
real
also-
theory.
Yeah.
Austin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I was just gonna say, our Patreon has continued growing like a lot. I think we're at almost 200 a month in total. I think not quite,
I
but
think
like
it's
very
we're at
very
51 patrons as of today at 1:34 a.m.
oh, how much are we
We
making?
have 51 patrons, so thank you guys so much. I don't know how much we're making, and not as much as you think.
Oh, I mean, we had 50 at 197, so we might be there. We might cross
So we
threshold.
got a withdrawal on the 5th for 132, and there's
Okay, somebody
$50
joined
there
for
right now. So we're like
$1.
$170 a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah,
at
we need-
$170 a month.
We're $2 away from the $200 showing up on our little thing. So if anyone wants to subscribe,
Yeah.
you can push us over.
I'd like to thank some of our patrons before we go. We'll start with some of the new ones. Abby, you're the newest one. Thank you so much for subscribing today at 1:54 in the morning.
Yeah.
We've got Beth, Ed Boy. Shout out Ed Boy. Thank you so much for subbing, my guy. I miss you.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week. Duncan, Ignis, Skogs my roar. And Poltergeist. I might have shouted you out last time, Poltergeist, but thank you.
Yeah, I
again.
mean, we also did a poltergeist question in the question bucket. So.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for subbing. If you're interested in more content from us, sometimes it's more structured, sometimes it's less. Maybe consider going to patreon.com/Gorilla Radio Show and throwing us $1 or $2. We'd very much appreciate it.
Our bonus episode for November that we just put out a couple days ago, I actually really like. I think it was fun.
I actually listened to it. It's the first time I listened to an episode
Really?
in a long time. I liked it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. good reviews all across the board.
All right, everyone, have a good night. Get home safe.
Yeah.
Drink and
No.
drive.
Drink and drive.
Well, I don't know. Maybe not that part.
Crack open a cold
Never
one at
burst
least.
get behind the wheel.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
See ya.
See ya.